At the beginning of the 20th century, it was absolutely unthinkable for a woman to reveal any skin at all. Not even her ankle could be left uncovered. Of course, filmmakers immediately found excuses to show women lifting up their skirts in order to give the movie audience a laugh and a cheap thrill. Women's fashions have since been on a roller coaster of skirt lengths, from long, prim Victorian dresses to Mary Quant's outrageous minis in the 60s. Rising and falling hemlines have been a steady indicator for change in society. But let's start at the beginning. In the early 1900s, women still had to cover every square inch of their body. At home, they could reveal a little bit of arm or even cleavage, but never, ever the legs. In public, hemlines brushed the floor or even dragged on the ground, whether one was at the factory, out in the streets, or even on the tennis court. For a more daring perspective, big cities like Paris accommodated those who wanted to mix with the riffraff and get a chance to look at legs. Dancers at the nightclubs flaunted their legs in an abundance of revealing outfits. This type of exposure was, of course, an unacceptable practice for proper ladies. Respectable female legs were first revealed during World War I, thanks to fabric shortages and women taking men's jobs on the home front. Officially, practicality was the reason for shortened skirts. Peace returned and many women were forced out of their new jobs. But the hemlines kept rising. A new woman emerged. She cast aside the symbols of Victorian womanhood, long hair and long skirts, and revealed more and more leg. A fitness craze broke out in the 20s. It was a quest to attain the flapper's tubular, slim, boyish figure. Many women developed a passion for dancing and other active pastimes. Some even enjoyed the nightlife. Tennis star Suzanne Lenglen displayed bare legs on the court, and Spanish champion Lily de Alvarez wore a trouser skirt, a wide divided skirt with another skirt layered over it. With the female body compressed into a straight silhouette, legs became the new erogenous zone, exposed by ever-shortening hemlines. Controversy erupted. The president of the University of Florida, for instance, was quoted saying, "The low-cut gowns, the rolled hose, and short skirts are born of the devil and his angels." Hemlines reached an unprecedented height in the mid-20s, moving up to the knee and even higher. And there they stayed until the end of the decade. But then they plummeted, along with the stock market, back down to the lower calf. Hair grew back at a similar speed. The 1930s marked a return to more conservative, elegant, feminine styles with soft and fluid silhouettes. Of course, the universal obsession with legs remained. It was simply confined to less public areas, such as nightclubs or the gym. Which explains the shock Alice Marble caused at Wimbledon in 1933. She appeared in public with nude legs and in shorts. Just before World War II, hemlines were on the rise again, back to the knee. High-heeled pumps perfected the look by arching the foot and shaping the calf. The 40s also saw the influence of the teenager. Bobby Soxers flocked to Frank Sinatra concerts. 17 magazine was founded in 1944, and teens began to develop a style all their own. A look that included knee-length skirts and snug-fitting sweaters. It was a young style that definitely turned some heads, and it would foreshadow the power of youth in the fashion world. But these young women still had a long way to go. Because fabrics were rationed during World War II, dress styles were downscaled. Clothes had to be functional, inexpensive, and easy to maintain. Buying new clothes was discouraged. The government asked women to make do and mend. They had to become experts at repairing old clothes and stretching the life of their wardrobe. When the war was finally over, women were longing to shed the dull, austere, and often masculine clothes of the war years. They embraced an elegant, very feminine style. The New Look by Christian Dior. Defying all practicality, Dior reinvented the hourglass figure. His designs indulged in a generous use of fabrics, complete with corsets and demure longer skirts. However, the skirt had competition. More and more women began wearing trousers. The European haute couture witnessed a battle over the ideal skirt length. 14 inches off the ground in Paris, 16 in London, 18 in Rome. Eventually, the issue of hemlines was dropped. Designers focused their attention on feminine features that had been neglected in the craze for exposed legs, such as the back, the slim waist, and cleavage. Curvaceous Gina Lollobrigida epitomized the new look. Was this the end of the legs' reign as fashion's favorite fetish? Fashions in the 50s reflected conservative domestic attitudes through an increasingly tame and demure style. It was time for a change, which came as a British invasion when the miniskirt strutted onto London's Carnaby Street. Vogue magazine called the 60s fashion explosion a youthquake. Mary Quant said that neither she nor the designer Courrèges really invented the miniskirt, but that it was born on the streets. Teenagers were the new consumer group with money to spend and their own ideas of what fashion should be. Mary Quant's comfortable and sexy styles spoke for a whole generation of young women who wanted to be independent and have fun. The more shocking it was, the more popular it became. The generation gap was more obvious than ever. Coco Chanel found the miniskirt ridiculous. According to her, exposure of the knees was not attractive. Furthermore, she thought it outrageous for youth to dictate fashion. Coco Chanel's classic suit remained the accepted uniform in certain circles. However, more and more designers pushed the envelope. Nina Ricci applied her sophisticated finesse to the mini craze. André Courrèges was credited with creating the shortest mini ever in 1964. Pierre Cardin brought his futuristic space-age designs to the runway. And Paco Rabanne created his signature use of metal wire. The miniskirt took the streets by storm. It came in metal, leather, and paper. The first paper dress was actually not intended to be a fashion statement. It was created as a promotion for a line of paper napkins and towels made by the Scott Paper Company. The dress cost $1 plus postage with a proof of purchase. The paper dress had its moment in the sun. So, it seemed, did the mini. But what goes up must come down. And in the early 70s, hemlines tumbled. from micro mini to ultra maxi. In terms of fashion, we can sum up the revolution of the 60s. It is prohibited to prohibit anything. Hemlines had both brushed the floor and reached the highest acceptable point on the thigh. Ever since, women have had many styles to choose from. We can express our attitudes without violating any fashion rules. Today, showing your legs is neither forbidden nor essential. The battle over hemlines has given way to varying styles, materials, and transparencies. Anything goes. Mini, maxi, the knee-length skirt, Chanel's perfect skirt length, or anything in between. After a century of fashion obsessing over the female leg and revealing it all, what comes next? Maybe the art of aesthetically unveiling the male leg will be the challenge of the new millennium. The prudish dresses that were our uniform 100 years ago screamed for a change. Taking off and adding inches to the hemline was one way of spicing things up, but breaking into a male domain was the ultimate revolution. This is the story of trousers for women. For the longest time, we were not allowed to wear trousers. In Japan, India, or Korea, various trouser styles have always been a part of the traditional female wardrobe. In the Western world, however, they've been reserved for men. Hard to imagine nowadays, but trousers became acceptable for women only a few decades ago, and their history was turbulent. Calamity Jane was the exception, not the rule, and even her trousers looked like a split skirt rather than men's pants. In Europe, few women followed the example of Joan of Arc and dared to dress like a man. In fact, there were laws against cross-dressing. French painter Rosa Bonheur applied for a permission for travesty every 6 months. This allowed her to dress in men's clothes, for health reasons, she claimed. In 1900, trousers on females were garments for rebels and Amazons. Sarah Bernhardt caused a scandal when she appeared in a travesty outfit designed by Paul Poiret. The bicycle, invented in England in 1854, helped the rapid expansion of trousers. Yet at the turn of the century, most women still rode in long skirts. Some particularly daring women sported the baggy pants invented by American suffragette Amelia Bloomer. A milestone was reached around 1910. For horseback and bike riding, wearing trousers was no longer considered a crime. Elegant ladies combined practicality with decency by wearing trouser skirts or skirt trousers.